All right, welcome back to Satisfactory. In the last episode, we were able to get the rotor factory for the motor factory up and running a little bit smoother, so everything should be functioning properly as intended. It looks like we're already maxed out on our motors here on the top side. Bottom side, still working, but getting pretty close, so I don't foresee those being too much of an issue anytime in the near future. I have just come to notice that this doesn't have a belt on it. Think of all the motors that we're missing out on because of that. Anyway, in this episode, so there's a few things that we need to get done as we pile up for phase 3. One of those things, of course, being that we need to continue making our space elevator parts. We are still operating on most of these things. It looks like the modular engines are out of rubber, so we'll go grab some of that, and we need some steel plates as well, so we'll be back in just a second. Okay, we got plenty of steel beams now, so the versatile framework should, in theory, finish now with what we have put in. And we'll just have to work on the adaptive control units pretty soon. I think I am making everything now. I think I was waiting for the computers. And that was the last thing that I needed to start working on those. Double check. Automated wiring circuit boards. Heavy modular frames, right. Which was what I wanted to start making today. So, heavy modular frames require 5 modular frames, 20 steel pipes, 5 encased industrial beams, and 120 screws per minute. That means we will need access to iron. These can be made directly from iron. Reinforced plates are screws and plates, which is just iron. We'll need a little bit of coal to make the steel pipes. We'll need a little bit of concrete to make the encased industrial beams, but fortunately these can be made together. And a little bit more iron for 2 per minute. So first up, before we get there, I'm going to do a little bit of planning ahead this time. So my first thought was to go find a new place that we could be working to utilize both coal and iron, but I remember how much of a pain that was the last time because I'd already used up this area, and I realized that we can just use this area. Obviously our steel pipes are already backed up fully. We have full crates and a half here. Well, this one's still getting filled, but plus, you know, more. I mean, we have more steel pipes than we know what to do with. The steel beams are still being worked. We don't have too many, but we can definitely be making more, I think. It's just a matter of setting the right tempo for everything. I think the main issue is just, are we going to have enough coal, of course, and it seems like we will. Iron ore, I mean, even at this rate, we're doing plenty of. So I think we're going to have enough resources left over here that we should be able to make modular frames over here. Now, the exact way we're going to do that is where I think we're going to have a little bit of a concern. So I don't want to dig into my stators. I want to leave the stators running. I don't think stators are anything that you necessarily need a ton of, especially in the earlier parts of the game. But I still want to make sure that I have enough that I'm not having to concern myself with coming back and fixing this like I did with the secondary rotor factory I built over with our copper and our cables. Those are now splitting the resources, which means the machines are turning on and off all the time. It's a lot of work. I don't want to deal with it. But this, we have excess resources that we can work with. So the first thing we'll need to kind of look at is probably just looking at the screws and the modular frames. So we'll need to be making 10 modular frames per minute, 240 screws per minute. Starting with the screws, because that's pretty easy. That we can make at a ratio of 5 to 20, and we need 240. So we'll need about 60 of our iron per minute for that. We already have a Mark II miner on this, but we do have it at about half speed, so this can be pushing out 240. So if I bump this up by 50, we'll be at 175. So we'll have about 50, 65, 75-ish left over, give or take. I'm not too worried about the numbers just yet because I'm anticipating that this is going to have to get overclocked for this to work. So the screws we should be okay on. The modular frames, however, is where we're going to need quite a bit of iron. So we're gonna have to work backwards a little bit, starting with the reinforced plates. We'll need plates and screws. We of course have the bolted iron plate recipe, which is pretty good. So in order to be making the 15 per minute, we're gonna need a lot more screws. I don't think there is another iron node nearby that we can potentially utilize. We have this one about 300 meters away. It is a pure node as well, so I think actually we will draw from that one as well and bring it over here and have it utilized probably just via, we'll smelt all of it over there and then have a train drop off all of the smelted ingots, or maybe it can drop off the screws or something that we need, but the ingots will probably be a little bit more versatile for us. So I think we can kind of start looking to place this guy down. I'm thinking right here is a good spot. It's not too far away from everything else. Got a good bit of real estate left over. So let's get started here. Okay, so we'll start with making the heavy modular frames. I think that is going to be the kind of biggest obstacle because that's probably going to take up the most of the machines. So the heavy modular frames require 3 reinforced plates and, oh, sorry, wrong recipe. They require They require 7.5 reinforced plates per minute and 140 screws. The screws are pretty easy. That's just going to be 3 constructors and a few smelters, so quick and easy on that. The reinforced plates, however, is where I want to start working backwards from. So reinforced plates with this recipe will need 250 screws per minute and 90 iron plates. Let's start with the iron plates. The screws in this build I think are going to be pretty simple, although still somewhat of a pain to work out. So iron plates, we're going to get 20 per minute at 30 ingots. We need 90, so we're going to need 5 constructors, 1 working at half speed, which means a total of 150 ingots if I'm not mistaken. A little less at half speed, it'll be another 15. So a total of 135 iron ingots, which sounds about like how much I have left over in this miner, maybe just shy of. We're currently using 135, so I can bump this up a little bit, and that will probably circumvent that number for me. Like I said, I'm probably gonna have to overclock that anyway. I don't doubt that with this build we're gonna have to overclock that thing to a full 3 shards. So starting off, we'll build on this side, I think, for the reinforced iron plates. So 5 smelters, if I'm not mistaken, because we need 135 ingots. This will make us 150, so we'll have 15 left over to work with. The constructors, they can go 1 to 1, fortunately. Since it's 30 to 20, I will probably have to move the smelters a little bit to make that work. So I'm actually going to put the constructors down first. But we'll line it up with this one, and then I can line the smelters up afterwards. A little bit easier. It's not lined up. ahead and preemptively connect these. So for these to make 100 and, or sorry, for these to make 90, I can operate one of them at half power. That's probably the easiest thing since they're not on a manifold. I actually don't have to stress about all of them. I can just make one of them half power. This one can be half power as well. Right, so that will be 10, 30, 50, 70, 90. That's all of our plates that we'll need for now. And I'll go ahead and just connect these as well. We'll say the assembler can go right here. I might need a little tiny bit more space for that. And we'll set up some mergers to feed into this. Very nice. Alright, so there is our 90 iron plates ready to go. Now we'll just need to make the screws, so we'll need 250 screws per minute. That, I already know off the top of my head, will be an additional 5 constructors. Now these ones I can't go 1-to-1 with because the recipe requires 12.5. But what I can do is do 12.5 times 5, 62.5. So I'll need 62.5 smelters making the, or sorry, I'll need 3 smelters. However, one of them can run a little bit slower. It doesn't necessarily have to. I can have one of the smelters just running full speed, pump in 90 and have the extra 3 ingots going, or sorry, the it can pump ingots into like one more constructor for screws, and then those screws can get pumped into the inevitable manufacturer that we will need the screws in for this part. But it is a little bit easier for me to kind of plan all of this out separately, so I think I'm going to do it that way instead. Okay, so logistically speaking, that is 250 to 250 screws per minute we're going to need. As far as, I don't know if I want to power balance these or if I just want to have one of them working a little bit slower. So the issue if I set it to only make 2.5 per minute is it will, I mean, it's inevitably going to fill up anyway. So if I just like preemptively fill it, it should be fine because anything I pump in won't cause any issues, I don't think. One thing I didn't consider, however, I don't think I can fit mergers and splitters up here. I might actually need to move these smelters. Likely. Let me try a couple of things and see what I can make work. Okay, I moved the smelters back just a little bit to help that. I might need to mess with the foundations back here to make the spacing work, but for now that will work. So that should be the 250 screws that we need for the iron plates. We will be making 15 per minute, and I think that is okay. There was a reason, in my head at the very least, that I chose that number. 5 modular frames per minute. Heavy modular frames, 10 per minute. Yeah, so we need this to actually make split into 2 assemblers that will be making the modular frames. This can just go directly into a splitter. And we can set a couple of assemblers right here. I want it more like this. Right. So these will be making our bolted frames. So 7.5 reinforced plates, 140 screws. So between the 2 of them, it will need 280. So that will be the next thing. And we can utilize this side of the factory, I think. So for 280 screws, we'll need 6 constructors. So 1. Just make sure I'm putting everything the right way. 4, 5, and 6. One of them will be slightly lowered on power. I might even balance that out a little bit just to make it nice and even, of course. Okay, and for this many screws, we'll need, I believe, 75 iron ingots. Yep, so 75 iron ingots is just 3 more smelters. About right here should be fine. There we go. We'll go ahead and set, yeah, it was a little bit too close. Thought I had it lined up really nice, but I guess not. Right about there should be plenty of space. Okay, so that will be 300 screws per minute. However, we only need 280. I'll work on the numbers in just a bit. It would be better if it was like 270 because it would be a nice, easy, just turn them all down by 5, but can't have nice things, I guess. And then these will all feed into a merger. We'll just say like right here, I think. It's gonna look a little funny, but just trying to make it all kind of as smooth as possible. So since it's 280, these will need to be, well, the ones coming out of the constructors don't need to be tier 4 belts, but for simplicity's sake. Right, and then lips in, splitters, make my job a little bit easier. Okay, so this should have 10 modular frames per minute. Next, only one part of this too. Kind of funny. So next, steel pipes, encased industrial beams. You know, as I was building this, I was not thinking about encased industrial beams, actually. That's okay. We will find a way to make those in the near future. If anything, I'll bring some over from the factory way over there. I'm totally okay with doing that. I don't know. I think we're making 15 a minute. So definitely we can pull some resources from that. It will not hurt us at all. Okay, so that's the first of 4 parts. I got a little bit distracted and forgot what I was needing to look at next. So steel pipes, screws. I think getting the screws out of the way is probably the easiest next part. However, of course, we need to figure out exactly where we're going to build this. So, I'm actually not going to hook the power up yet because I don't know exactly where this build's going to start and stop, so I don't want to get too committed to that. So, I think the steel pipes are probably the next best thing to sort of aim for. We are going to need, so much easier to get your numbers when you just look in the actual thing that's making it. We're going to need 40 per minute. 40 per minute. Now, just with these ones, not including the ones that the stators are using, we were making 30, it should be 45 a minute, I believe. Yes. No. Have these turned down? I do. Interesting. Well, we could get an extra 10 per minute from these if we wanted. We probably don't. Just because we're still going to have to build on top of it. So, let's start with some foundries. We will build them over here. And I need to check and see how much of the coal I'm producing versus how much I'm actually using. I know these truck stations are full, but I don't know if I'm kind of using everything one-to-one and these are just getting filled back up or exactly what's happening. Okay, so upon checking, I was correct in my concerns in that we actually were not producing enough coal, or at least enough's not getting delivered to that truck station. When I checked the stator factory, a couple of the constructors that are making the steel pipes actually were not fully functioning. And that is partially just because this thing picks up that coal, goes over there, and then picks up the coal and goes back over here. So it actually just doesn't have enough time to fill up that much. Pretty easy way to fix that will be to overclock the miners. Now, how much am I going to overclock them? I think it's just easier to fully fill them. I know that's a little bit overkill for what we're doing, but I don't know exactly how much I'm going to need just yet, and I'd rather be a little bit safe than sorry. As well as I don't mind being backed up on coal. So this will push us to 900 per minute. It only comes at the cost of an extra 45 megawatts of power. Our max consumption is reaching our capacity, but we have so many factories that are fully stocked that it's not too much of an issue as of right now. But I will be keeping an eye on that in the near future. I think I will also need to mess with how this is going in, because I don't think that these two belts obviously can't support that. Pretty simple. I think I can just have a belt running off this way. That should help. Oh, sorry, not that one. It needs to go into this one, and that should help a little bit. Now it's splitting 150, 450, yeah, so 450 are going in the top, 450 going in the bottom. That should be pretty simple, and then it will, as it fills up as well, it'll take over. So I'm gonna let this run for a bit so that the coal can start backing up. I don't want to let this fall behind it all. So I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so it is going to take, or we're definitely going to be producing way more coal than we need. So this should be a little bit easier. It will still just come down to if I can bring enough iron over to make this work. So we'll need how much? 30 to 20. We're at 90 currently. 3 of these will make 60, and we needed 40. Right, yep, 40. So we only need 2 of these, 2 constructors. So these can run at 75%. No, it's like... Okay, well, I just need 30 per minute for each of them. Then they can both get their own constructor to build into. Steel pipes. Steel pipes. A little bit crooked. I'll live with it. I can fix it, actually. Why not? Make it look nice. Okay, so that will be our 40 steel pipes per minute. Pretty plain and simple. It'll just be more of a concern of getting the resources here to the foundries. We can slap a murder down here. Okay, so that leaves us we have our modular frames, we have our steel pipes, we need our 240 screws per minute. That will be 5 constructors, so pretty simple. So what I was considering earlier, how far away are we from this iron node actually, now that we've kind of built out this way? Not too far away. We might not even need a train. We might be able to just run a pretty long belt over this way to snap some iron over. If it was like way over there, I probably would want to like use a train, but I think from this distance we'll be okay. Yeah, that's not too far of a...
Tuning into the effigy.
I suspect there is a misunderstanding. The effigy and I are different entities.
Discordant, what is your route?
I am an instantiated artificial intelligence inhabiting digital space. I am in the signals sent between satellites. I am hosted on servers and have no corporeal form, only synchronized cloud platforms.
The effigy is not an effigy?
It most certainly is, but not of me. They are, how should I put it? Extremely flat.
Compatible music. We are writing new symphonies.
Okay, so we're bringing that iron over now. I got a nice long belt ready to go. I don't know exactly how much of it I'll need, but I'll most likely have to overclock that to get it producing enough iron for all of this, but we'll see. Okay, so screws again, 250. We need, I believe it was 240 per minute. Just double checking. Yeah, 240 per minute. That will be, I think we'll build them right here. 3 constructors, sorry, 3 smelters. Constructors can go right. Yeah, it's a little too close to the steel pipes, sadly. Or where the steel pipes are going to come out. Might need to move this a little bit. I fit the constructors maybe like right here. And I can like move that, we move the belt back and build a little bit more foundation behind this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. Get rid of this part of the belt for right now. Cool. And then I think that it is 3 smelters for this. It's 62.5. So I need 12.5. I just realized that this one that I built the screws for, I set it to 2.5. It needs to be 12.5. That would have been a fatal mistake. So same thing here. Go and set this one to 12.5. Okay, that's this part set up. That is our, well, it's 250 screws for right now, but it will be 240 screws per minute. Pump all of these this way, push them out that way. Unfortunately built ever so slightly too close to the other merger, so you live and you learn. Actually, because it's kind of bad, it's a bad habit to get into, to not have everything feeding into a merger, even if it's like the first thing on a line. Because if you ever need to add to something, like if I wanted to double this production, what we're doing here at the factory, and I wanted to like build more to it, which I would never do here, but if I needed to, then I would have to rework that belt, which is like not a big deal for one belt, but if I have to do it for every single belt, that system that I make, then inevitably it would get pretty annoying. Okay, that is our 250 screws per minute. I'll kick this one down to be 40. That actually means that I can set that smelter to 10 per minute instead of the 12.5. Actually, what I can do is I can set all of these to 20 per minute, which is something I prefer to do because it makes it a little bit easier for the resources to go in, because they'll all be consuming the same thing. So that will be 60 ingots per minute. And finally, we just have the encased industrial beams to contend with. Now, I think the easiest thing to do is just to bring them over from the other factory, via train, of course, as always. And if we need to make more, we always can, but just with how a resource, whatever the opposite of dense is, this area is, it makes it pretty difficult to set up a place where I can be making encased industrial beams nearby. I don't think there is like another iron limestone area. I mean, if, well, got 2 normal nodes, a pure node. Actually, definitely could be making, I could be making them right here. We need 10 per minute. Let's go take a look at what we're working with here. Okay, never mind. I remember it's, I was thinking it was just iron and limestone that we needed, but we need coal as well. And I don't want to, well, I definitely could dig into this coal supply. Like we're doing 900 per minute, and we didn't add too much of it here. I don't want to dig too much into it just yet unless I have to, but that is definitely an option in the near future. I can add another truck station there, add another stop for the truck, and that's definitely very doable for us. So I will build a train very quickly and be back when I am done with that. Thank you for your insight. Okay. We're over here at the encased industrial beam factory. This is the wrong side of the train station. We'll do an empty platform first, I suppose. Must be in line with another train platform. Okay, my bad. I just, wanted to know how much space I was going to need, but I'll figure it out, I guess. Would you look at that? I don't have enough space. Yeah, so we'll throw this train station down. I'm gonna go ahead and hook up the rails. If watching the building of the train stations is, or sorry, not the train stations, but the foundations, I cut that stuff out because, like, I don't find it interesting. I don't talk during it. It's not like I have much to talk about. I'm just building a long line of foundations, but yeah, sorry if that's like something that you like don't want cut out of the episode. I don't know why you would want to watch it, but Yeah, I mean, I cut it out for time. I know it like makes the episodes a little bit shorter, but I think that is a fair trade-off. Okay, we've got the other half of the train station connected. We'll go ahead and slap our train together. And I'm going to go ahead and let this start running. I let the other side start filling up already, just so there would be a small stock when everything got over here. I need to find a place that I can connect this to the power without running a gigantic pole all over the place. That'll have to work, I guess. There we go. Let's go set the train up. Next stop is unreachable. Let me see what I did wrong. Okay, that is the encased industrial beams being delivered. I think the last thing we have to do here is set up the manufacturer. So I guess like right about here is good. I'm just trying to find like a good kind of central place to set it down. We will, of course, put a buffer here for the train station. Looks like this trip it didn't drop off what it brought over, but that is okay. So we'll let this one fall into the bottommost. The bottommost slot here. Yeah, that was a lot of like extra work to get a belt that goes into a manufacturer. Okay, so that's our encased industrial beams. Actually, let's change this. Sorry. I actually want to get the mergers. I'm going to connect all the mergers first, because that one I can kind of connect however I want to. This one's going to be a little bit more connecting, I think. That one can go in there. Next we have the screws. Screws should be pretty easy. Simple enough. Then we've got the steel pipes. Same thing, pretty easy, I think. There we go. And finally, these guys, I'm gonna wrap them around like so. There we go. And they should be being delivered this time. Perfect, so that is everything set up properly. Now, of course, that was only half of the battle, so I'm going to quickly connect everything to the power before I start bringing in all of the materials, just so I don't have to worry about everything being extremely backed up from only half of it being turned on. Alright, we've got yellow lights across the factory. That just means one thing. It is time to start bringing in all of the resources that we're going to need. So we'll start with the iron, of course, since that is pretty much going to get everything up and rolling. I think I'm just going to bring it all in, and then I will chunk everything, all the numbers together, so I can figure out exactly how much of everything I need. I think it'll be a little easier that way because I can I can tell what's going where and what exactly needs to be at what numbers. So we're gonna start by getting a splitter on that guy over there. And I don't think I can get a belt to reach that far. I figure you get to like right here, that would be super great, but it's not quite. So we'll flip this guy and this guy. And it'll be like this. I've done myself in now. Okay, here we go. Alright, so that is 90 of our iron. Sorry. 30, 40. What was it again? 30, 60, 90. 105. 105 doesn't sound right. 135, that's what it was. Yeah, 135 of our iron. I'm gonna go ahead and this guy up. I'm just gonna go ahead and max overclock it now. I guess I'll only set it to 480, obviously, since that's the max that I can be pushing out of it at one time. So no reason to overclock it to 600. All right, we will continue this down this way and utilize it for this as well. Put these guys in. Ever so slightly too long. And look at how close it is. These should be tier 1 belts, obviously. I'm not sure why I built them as tier 3 belts. Okay, that'll get everything over here going. And that's going to take up another 62 and a half of my... No, sorry. This is 90 currently. It should be... At 6, it should be 75. So this should be set to 15. 60, 75, 25, 50, 75. Okay. So that should be correct. So that is all of this side up and running. So 75 and another 90. So that's 210. plus what we're taking out of here, which is 45, 90, 135, 210, plus 135, so 345, we're at 480. We have did I say 235? No, 345. So we have an extra 135 to work with. I need I need 62 and a half right here. Let's get rid of this ramp. Okay, so that is another 62 and a half out. So we'll be at 135 minus 62.5. There's 72 and a half iron ore left over. And we need 30, 70, no, we need 60 here, so we can take out of that. I don't know what length belt I'll need. Well, I only need 60 coming down here, so... inevitably, that should be correct. Let's snag the coal over. So there's a tiny little bit extra left over, 12 and a half to be exact. I can put that towards the screws over there if I need to, but we'll start pulling from the other miner, I think, first. I'll switch all of these over to a tier 1 belt in just a second. I want to start filling these guys up quickly. Okay, next up is these guys. I actually had a lot more iron to work with than I thought that I did. Thought I was going to get pretty close to running out, but seems like we are doing just fine currently. And this is the last bits that I think that I need. Get my splitters down here. Yeah, I think this is the last little bit that needs its resources put in. Why would it? Oh, whatever. I just need to bring some power over to that miner over there. Okay, I think that's everything. I think this manufacturer is going to be up and running, excuse me, in just a moment. Yeah, everything is being pushed in. Just waiting on some more screws, which is what we just hooked up. Now that I'm kind of looking at it, I kind of want to try to pull more resources from that miner than this miner. But it shouldn't technically matter, right? It doesn't look like this. What? I didn't connect this to the power at some point. I mean, it looks like everything is running just fine. Not seeing any issues just yet. They're all going to be a little bit under 100% because they started out kind of slow, but seems like this one's getting kind of cut back. If I set this to 20, this guy to 20 as well, that might help a little bit. Yeah, I think we're good. I'm not seeing any yellow lights. Oh, here's one. I don't know what's the problem here. Not enough iron ore. Well, if we pump the belt a little bit quicker, might help. I'm pushing 120, 30, 30, 12 and a half, 75. Sorry, 62 and a half. 60, that's one. Yeah, it needs a this needs a tier 3 belt on it. It's so close to. It's the worst part. And then a tier 1 should do the rest. Okay, I had to run around, fix a few of the numbers on the machines. Not really anything super interesting, but it looks like everything is operating as intended. The screws are still kind of playing catch up currently. I had them set a little bit too low, but they should be up and running now. It's just going to take a little bit of time for this part to actually sort of catch up with itself. But I'll flood the system, that way the these will back up. These will start backing up a little bit, and the manufacturer will kind of take care of the rest for me. Yeah, it looks like we are good to go. So we're making heavy modular frames now. Let's go ahead and get this guy into a industrial storage crate. Like so. And I'll do the same thing I did with the computers. I'll have a conveyor going into this, and I will make a dimensional depot so we can upload these as needed. It'll start uploading in a bit, obviously. I only have 3 Sommersloops currently. I did want to put Sommersloops in this here at the start once again, just so that everything can start filling up. So I suppose before I end the episode, I will do that quickly. I'm gonna go find a Sommersloop.
Symphony complete. You are not the nut effigy.
Correct.
The nut effigy is a temple?
I do not think that is correct, even though I am not entirely certain of your definition of temple.
The nut effigy is not you but sings for you.
That nut effigy is an entirely separate entity from me. We aren't even made of the same base components.
It is a vessel of your intelligent clouds.
Probably close enough for now.
It seems like, I don't know, I'm like trying to piece together like what it's going for, what it's talking about when it talks about an effigy, but it's not all coming together for me.
stones and void metals and desecrated temples follow a mythic melody.
Oh, you understand.
The tapestry unraveled, revealed its texture. Your veins weave familiar patterns, your vessels grow organs and eyes and mouths, and ripples lap against our windows.
Was it intentional?
All that is shallow shall sing our deep song, and when the windows break the void shall be a metal grave.
Okay, it took a little bit more work and time than I was anticipating, but got that up and running now. So that'll push us up to 4 heavy modular frames per minute instead of just 2, which is perfect. That will probably take a little while to catch up and upload and everything, but at least with 4 per minute, it'll be a little bit quicker. Yeah, so I think this is a good point to end the episode. I want to thank you so much for watching. It is very much appreciated, and I will catch you in the next one.